right, peace and much love. Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest installment of Message from the Minista. This week's message from the Minista is Will the Power. Will the Power. So as you can probably guess by the title, this week we're going to be talking about willpower and what willpower is and how we can use our willpower in our day-to-day living to enhance our lives and propel ourselves into the future. We've talked in the past about, what is our aim? What are we aiming at? What is our target? What is the mark that we are wanting to hit? Well, willpower is what pulls back the bow and holds the steady, keeps the focus, releases the bow, releases the arrow and sees it hit its target. Same thing with anything in life. That's our willpower. Everything worth anything takes willpower. But how do we will the power into the existence of what we want to see? So this week we'll get into the definitions of will and of power. And we'll also be given the definition of willpower and reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop. And what a great time to be alive, for real. Like, with the things that are going on in the world right now, the things that are happening on earth right now, this is one of those times where there's so much going on and there's so many different opinions floating around and different ideas floating around and fear and government corruption and government control, and they're pitting this side against that side and family against family and brother against brother and da-da-da-da-da. This is great. And why do I say that's great? Because this is one of those great times to be alive, because this is the time where we have to ask ourselves our deeper questions in life. This is that kind of time, my nobility. And I know y'all feel me this week because I see y'all coming in the doors, and I just jumped right into the lesson. But I want to take a moment to thank y'all for being here. Thank you up there. Thank you. Just want to thank y'all for being here, because there is no such thing as time and space in the spirit. Time and space are something we experience here in the third dimensional reality of flesh and blood, water. But this is that third dimensional reality that we're experiencing. But in spirit, that's the real experience that we're actually having. In spirit, there is no such thing as time and space. So no matter how far away you are from where I'm filming this space right here, you are here with me in spirit. We are here together in spirit. And no matter what time, how far forward in the future, or even the past, I don't know. Can they beam this back to the past? Just kidding. Well, maybe not. But no matter where you're at in time and space, we are all here together in spirit in this time and this space. I want to welcome y'all here. I don't know if you notice every week, but once you start coming in, I start inviting you in, and you guys start picturing yourselves here. Like, you'll see my energy start amping up because I'm feeding off of your energy. I'm feeling your energy. And what a miraculous thing to really realize, right? Because I'm here in this room alone. I'm not alone. I got the ancestors with me, got the angels with me, got God with me, got you with me, and got everyone else who's watching this video here together with one another right now. So we're never alone. We never feel alone. We should never feel alone. And, this is that thing in life. I'm going to get into our lesson right now because it got a lot to cover. There's quite a few definitions, and there's some reading to do, about 3 or 4 pages in the Gospel of Hip Hop to read from. And this is a topic extensively talked about in the past. Even the section I'm going to be reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop, I believe we've actually read it twice. I think this is Message from the Minister 29 or 30 or something like that. So we've read it 2 or 3 times, but it's something that I keep going back to. It's something I want to keep revisiting. It's in the H Law, in the introduction to the H Law, the fourth overstanding, the H Law, in the Gospel of Hip Hop, written by the teacher KRS-One. It talks about willpower and having to will our hip hop experience into existence, and having to use our willpower to will our spiritual life into existence. And there's a lot that goes into that. We talked last week about them trying to use technology to have intuitive technology When we are intuitive technology, we're God's technology. This body is already intuitive. So what do we need their technology for? We have that. But just like intuition, we also have this thing called willpower. Willpower. Why do we need them to motivate us through their fear? With their police and their military and their guns and their mandates and their threats and their violence and their robbery and their theft and their history. Why do we need them to get us to move or act towards anything when we have willpower that we can discover our life's purpose, the real reason we're here on earth, not for them, but for God? When we discover our life's purpose and we have the willpower to create that life of that purpose, we make a choice at that moment. And that choice that we make is to put God first in our lives before the world, before anybody in the world is trying to tell us what to do or that there's some kind of authority over us. Realize that every man-made authority in your life is a false authority. A false authority, just like a false God or a false anything. They're a false power, right? Our willpower is real, the real God, real power, real religion even in that way, real philosophy in that way. But what this world is offering, these so-called, presidents, blah, they don't have they're nothing. To God, they're nothing. They only have what's called worldly power. But we have God force within us. We have a willpower, and we don't need them to threaten us or motivate us towards our destiny, towards what we see for ourselves. And there's something to be said about that. We talked a couple weeks ago about, hip hop being the last of the human skills and talked about what it is to have a human skill. And willpower is what brings that skill into existence. It's willpower that is the driving force behind the discipline, behind the practice, behind the doing, behind the being of what it is we see for ourselves. And everyone I know, everyone I know has something in their life that they would rather be doing than what they're doing. Everyone. Like everyone, even the high achievers, have other things that they want to be doing in their life that they're not doing right now. And they have to know, and they know that they have to use their willpower and redirect their energy into such a way that they can have the outcome and create the things for themselves or in their environment, or really their internal self even, of what they wish to see or what they want to see or what they are willing to see in their lives. And the middle achievers and the low achievers, all the achievers, right? All of us have this thing in life that we want to be doing more of. I need to write more. I write, but I need to write more. I need to really get into writing, and not writing rhymes, but writing books. I've got like 3 or 4 books in my head. And I just, there's so many notes. I just keep going through the process of writing these notes and then forming a book out of it, right? But I love talking too. I love just getting on the camera and being able to go and flow with you all. So I want to be doing this more as well. I've got albums I want to record. I need to record. I got to record. I'm required to record. So I'm working on the albums. Oh, but wait, then there's a music video that needs to be made and a new business to run and family time and study time and sleep and meditation and exercise and diet and relationships. Right? It's a lot of things in our lives. And that's willpower. And it takes a lot of willpower to do the things that we don't want to do in life. Sometimes I would say it's a different kind of willpower, but there was at times in my life, I swear, to get up and go to that job that I hated took more willpower than to do the things I love. Easily. Like for me to wake up at like 5:30 a.m. and go get in 2 hours of commute traffic after getting 5 hours of sleep, and my body's sore and tired, and I haven't really done nothing for myself, just been slaving away at the job, right? It took a lot of willpower to get up out of bed day in and day out, but the motivation was there. Go broke, go homeless, don't feed your family, That motivation coming from, this BS system that charges all this rent and money and monopolizes everything for their benefit and not ours. And then they sell us a dream that they're for us. They sell us this lie that they are there for us, when the truth is we are there for them. And we have been there for them, and we don't need them, but they need us. Like, isn't that amazing that the people in power and charge, we don't need them at all for any reason ever, but they need us. We are their life of blood. Everything they have is because of you and I and our families and our ancestors. But see, they're using this motivating force of, we'll take what little bit you have. We'll take the crumbs off your table if you don't wake up at 5:30. And the willpower is like, I don't want to go starving. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to. Now I got my willpower. Drag me up out of bed, get me into work, grab that big cup of coffee, smoke that J on the way to work, get the head right. I smoke 2 joints in the morning. I smoke 2 joints at night. You remember that song? He said, until one day I met a man who came to me and said, hard work good and hard work fine, but first take care of head. So now I smoke 2 joints in the morning. I smoke 2 joints at night. Yeah, just reminiscing about that willpower it took to get me in that car every morning and commute, and then to go through the day without knocking anybody out. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all feel me out there because you're in that place. Well, let me tell you something. That, like, willpower is something that you probably already have if you're in a situation that you don't like, right? People with low willpower, that's people who is just feeding off of some other system and not doing anything, feeding off the government system or whatever, And I'm not dissing nobody or calling nobody out, but if you got a job that you hate but you go to every day, like, you got a lot of willpower. And that's an exercised muscle. That's a strength, right? That's something you already have exercised. And this is something I realized when I jumped out of the matrix, when I the teacher Morpheus pulled me out of the matrix, unplugged me from the matrix, and I woke up in a new world that I didn't really, waking up as his right-hand man and running around the world, as the temple of hip hop and all this stuff, from one reality to the other. The one thing I had going for me, I had a few things going for me. Work ethic, but that work ethic is willpower. I had a good personality, but I work on my personality is willpower. Be trustworthy, willpower. It took willpower to become trustworthy. To be truthful, that took willpower to become truthful. To persevere, that took willpower to persevere. All these skills that I had that I brought to the table that allowed me to do what I was able to do in the beginning, that was all from willpower, and that willpower was exercised from going to those jobs, getting up early in the morning and doing that commute from all those years. So I took that willpower, more or less, God took that willpower. God started directing my life into a new reality, into a new way of thinking, really, which is what it was. I had to rethink who I was and what I existed as. And then my outer environment began shifting around me. Willpower. Power the will. Power the will. You have a will, give us some power. But what's powering that will? What's powering your will? Is it, fear? That powers a lot of people. My will was powered by fear when I was getting up and going to that job. It was powered by ignorance when I was getting up and going to that job. It was powered by a drone mentality when I was getting up and going to that job I hated every day, right? The willpower was being enacted, but the power part of it was fear. Then God came along and pulled the fear out and put God in there, okay? And then all of a sudden, God was saying, yo, call yourself Zin Uru. All of a sudden, God was saying, yo, call yourself Minista. All of a sudden, God was saying, go out to Europe with the teacher. All of a sudden, God was saying, move over here. All of a sudden, God was saying, write this down, say this, do this. All of a sudden, God is saying all this stuff, but those muscles that were, from the wrong power, I still had the muscles. My will still had the muscles. And so therefore I was able, once God came in and I started getting into God's flow with it, that those willpower muscles then were able to direct my life in such a way that I arrived at the person I always knew I was. Who are you? You know who you are. There's like a part of you that's just like deep inside, and you know who you are. And a lot of you have explored who you are. You could tell me, I'm so-and-so and I'm this and that. And I feel you, my brothers and sisters. And you can also see those in your environment who aren't, but they know there's something more. They feel it inside them, and they're like, yo, man, I know this is who I am, and it's hard though. I got to get out and do this, and I got to make myself do that. Willpower, my nobility, willpower. And I'll tell you, man, I've been thinking this week, like God's disappointed in a lot of us. God's disappointed in a lot of y'all. And I don't say that lightly, right? I don't say that lightly, but in this fluffy new agey movement, we're always thinking of, look out of God. God's some kind of fluffy agent of just always happy with no matter what's going on. God might understand, God might see you through, but like God can be disappointed in you and your actions. And I know God's disappointed in a lot of I just know God's disappointed in a lot of those close to me. And it's not something I really want to say or talk about, because I know I've had God disappointed in me, right? Often, too often. And when God's been disappointed in me, man, and I accepted it, that's that time where God is able to work then. But it takes willpower to accept that God's disappointed in you. And you really got to ask that, like, is God disappointed in me right now? And you'll know if God's disappointed in you because you'll be disappointed in you. Talk about it all the time, like we got this life. What's the cost of wasting a life? Will you even get another one and get to come back if you waste this one? Or how long until you get to come back? And maybe you don't want to come back, and that's fine, but why waste a life? How many people left young? Left their mark when they're young, and you could just feel their spirit wishing they had more time. Are you going to be satisfied when you leave this earth? Are you going to be ready when you leave this body? Or are you going to be looking back and say, I maybe could have done better, but man, I did it. I put my effort, I gave it my best shot. I put all my energy into it. I succeeded. My life was a success. My life is a victory. And how many people are going to just be like, I just, did what I did. I did what I did. That's it. I did what I did. Prince asked, on the Rainbow Children album, he asked, did you ever wonder why you had to die? Or did you just plan on leaving without ever wondering why? I don't call it death. I call it, it's really birth. What we call death is really birth. Because we are the tree now coming up out of the seed. We are the light coming out of this being. But this time here in this cocoon, this time here in this third dimensional reality with all its, traps and obstacles and fears and joys and temptations and victories and all this experience of life. There's a great lesson to be learned for all of this and all of us. And maybe the lesson for some is don't ever waste another life if you get another chance. And I think that, a lot of the high achievers in the world probably experienced that, probably experienced that in a previous life, like they lived a life where they didn't really live out their purpose or really didn't live out why they came here and what they're here for. And they thought when they were, they left, they probably thought, God, if I get another life, if I get another chance at life, if I get another chance at life, I want to do more. And they probably came back and did more. And it happens to people where they don't even die in this life. They maybe, go through an accident or a super traumatic experience and like, God, if I have another chance at that, I'm going to do better. If I have another chance at that, God, I want to do so much more. And we see those stories all the time, and they become inspirational speakers and motivational movies, and that's what they're there for. So what does it mean to you? Like, how can you will yourself into existence? And really, let's get into our hip and our hop. Hip means to know, it's to be aware, it's intelligence. Hop is movement, it's action. So to be, aware of why we move, intelligent movement, the hip and the hop. Are you hip to your hop? And I know you are because you're watching this. You're already hip to your hop, but is there something more you want to do? I've tell the same stories over and over again. Forgive me, but they're important to me because this is what I'm teaching from, right? The life experience of myself. And, I remember not the first time I met with the teacher, but we were out on tour. I just already, declared myself. My name is Zin Uru. And we drove up to the Bay Area. We were in Los Angeles, California. And the Bay Area is about, 8-9 hours north of Los Angeles. And so we get up to San Francisco Bay Area, up near where I was growing up as a kid. And we're at a hotel, and the teacher's taking meetings with each of the students out on the road. And, I come into the meeting, and he's like, yo, Zin, good to see you. I was like, yeah, good to see you too, teacher. And he says, so Zin, what element are you mastering of the 9 elements? Breaking, MCing, graffiti, art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, street entrepreneurialism. Which one of those are you mastering, Zin? And I said, I'm an MC. He said, spit something, Zin. Let me hear. He said, oh, you an MC? You an MC? Spit something. And I was like, I've never spit nothing before, teacher. He's like, word, oh, it's like that, huh? I said, I used to sing. My brother had a punk rock band. I used to, I used to sing for that, but I never, I've written poetry. I'm a poet, but I've never written a rap, I never written a rhyme, and I never freestyled before. And I was 32, 33 at the time. And he was like, yo, word. He goes, you know where you're at, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, you know who I am, right? I was like, yeah, of course I know who you are. Greatest MC of all time. And I just told you I'm MC, and I've never even spit a rhyme. Well, he says, Zin, I'm going to expect you. He goes, because you can't be whack. And I was like, word. And he's like, because you walking with me, you can't be whack. I was like, I know that's right. I ain't never going to be whack. He said, Zin, I might be handing you the mic, and there's going to be opportunities for you to grab the mic and even jump in the studio, and you got to be ready. And I was like, word. Okay, I'm ready right now. I thought I was ready. I thought I was just going to say anything and do anything. But, he said, Zin, he said, you'll be an MC when you stop, when you no longer have the desire to be an MC, when you give up the desire to be an MC, right? That was interesting because I desired to be an MC at that time, and it wasn't until years later when I just realized one morning, I woke up, I was like, oh, I don't desire to be an MC anymore because I am an MC, If you are something, you don't desire being what you already are. You don't desire something you already have because you already have it, right? And so it was an interesting lesson, but it was willpower in the beginning because I took everything he said to heart, right? Because a week, 2 weeks go by, and he's saying, Zin, beyond just being an MC and being able to pick up a mic, remember that an MC in the temple of hip hop is divine speech. You got to be able to give a seminar. You got to be able to teach hip hop. You got to be able to sell merchandise with your voice. You've got to be able to give clear directions as leadership in the temple of hip hop. You've got to be able to give an encouraging word to a stranger or to a friend. And I was like, oh, word, okay, yeah. This MCing thing is a lot deeper than I even thought in the beginning. And so I was working on it, I was working on it hard. I was sitting there, I've always kind of been a social type person. I've worked retail before where I was dealing with customer interaction, great way to learn how to interact with people. So when I was selling merchandise, I was like, yo, we got t-shirts for $20 and we got our DVDs. I'll give you a package deal if you come see me. And, I'd be up there standing on the table just trying to be as big and as loud as I could. And, it worked. People would come to me and that's how I would sell merchandise. And so time would go on and we'd be in, I started writing my rhymes. I started working on my rhymes every night. And this is where, power the will. Like this is where the MC became, like all of a sudden I had my will and the MC became the power into the will. Like, whoop, the willpower became the power came from MCing. And so I took it real serious, man. I took it real serious. Like I became obsessed over it. And teacher told me, he said, you're going to have to become obsessed. He said, Zin, you're going to have to go insane with it. Like you're going to have to go insane with it, Zin. And I was like, word, yeah. But I don't even know what it means at that time. I just hear it and go, okay, I'll go insane with it. But like, wow, that insanity takes willpower to pull yourself out of that insanity. I'd be out on tour and then I'd go home and I'd be off the rush of going on tour, because if anybody who's ever gone on tour before, it's like in the beginning, it's a rush. It's like an addiction, and the fast pace of the life in the different hotel every night and all the people and energy and dealing with and stuff, it becomes this like addictive pleasure, even though it's a pain in the ass at times, it becomes this addiction. And so then I'd be home, right? And so I wouldn't, I'd be out on the road, I'd be writing rhymes and stuff, but then I'd be back home with the family, and it's like a different kind of energy. So, but I had to work on my rhymes then. And so I would go down and there was like this little closet in the garage, like this wide. It was like a 5x6 closet in the garage. And I put some stereo speakers in there. Nobody could hear me in the rest of the house. Closed the door. And I just sit there with one lamp, notepads, and some speakers playing the beats. And then just sit there writing rhymes for hours and hours and hours and hours. Losing sleep over it. Losing relationships over it, really. But I was going insane with it, and I didn't even know what that meant. But I mean, it was like, I'd be like, and like somebody knocking on the door, I'd be like, oh, what are you doing? Hold on, I'm working on my rhymes right now, But I'd keep working on my rhymes and over and over and over and over again, and over the beats and learning how to rap. Like I was, like it's taken me a long time. Like I didn't have a natural, there's a lot of things that I didn't naturally possess. I naturally possess a clever mind that could write interesting rhymes, but I lacked like timing. I lacked cadence. I lacked flow, all of those things. And all of this to say is that it is the power of will. It is your willpower that takes you from the darkness of the not knowing and not being into the light of knowing and being. So whatever it is that you want to master in your life, you are going to have to get insane with it. Ask that willpower. Anything you want to master in life, it's going to have to possess you to such a degree that you might just lose all the relationships around you. And if you're not prepared for that, I'm not saying it is a requirement that you're going to lose all those relationships around you. Some of them are going to survive, some of them aren't. Some of them might break off for a while and come back around. Some of them might be permanent. You guys just break up completely. But it's like, what is the price that you're willing to put on your soul to express itself? This man, Martin Luther King, you don't think that he had stressful nights and was just like, wow, the willpower it took for him to say and do what he had to say and do, with death threats and getting arrested and the media and all these forces working with him, and then all these other forces working against him. You don't think that this man, the willpower of this man, changed the course of the world? One man, Martin Luther King, changed the whole course of the earth because of his willpower, because of his conviction of his willpower. I'm not saying God's asking everybody to be Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther King is asking us all to be and live what he died for, what he envisioned and what he saw. That means you're special. There's something special about you, hip hopper. and all these distractions going on in the world and all these threats from this outside environment. And we don't even know what this country is going to look like in the United States or the rest of the earth in the next 5 years. But I know something, when you have a strong willpower, like that willpower, every hour and minute and energy that I spent writing on my rhymes and then recording them and learning how to mix and master on my own, and all that time and energy and years. And when I say years, I mean night and day and night. Sleeping on couches, eating beans and rice, driving a beat up old car, having nothing. I can't even say I had nothing. I had everything because I had all my needs fulfilled. But it wasn't the lifestyle I was used to. It wasn't the 5-bedroom house, 2 cars, packed refrigerator. It wasn't none of that all of that was gone. And all of a sudden, it's just like working on my rhymes, working on my skills, working on my album, and working on the ministry. Giving interviews, talking about hip hop as culture. Hip Hop Appreciation Week every year. Willpower. August 11th, 2021, everybody was celebrating hip hop's birthday. From Google to everybody online, to organizations, to radio stations, to government proclamations. That's the work of the Temple of Hip Hop. That's the willpower of the Temple of Hip Hop. And nobody can dispute that, because when we were saying August 11th is hip hop's birthday, we were getting it from all sides. Who are you to say that? F you guys, F Chris, F this, F that. You all don't know nothing. Oh yeah, we do know something. We got an actual birth certificate, August 11, 1973, from Kool Herc, handwritten. So we knew that, but we just kept persevering with our willpower. And I remember when I was organizing the temple in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Every one of those years I remember, because I was the one doing it with the teacher's permission or the teacher's motivation. But I'm just going to put my name out there for everybody. Remember when it was me who was on those calls? Remember when it was me as the only one organizing? And big up to everybody who came along with me and started organizing. And now I don't got to even say it. I could leave tomorrow and y'all going to keep organizing it, right? But that was willpower. It took willpower. I had people threatening to kick my ass if they ever saw me for saying that August 11th. I was like, first off, you ain't kicking my ass. I'll tell you that right now. Ain't nobody kicking my ass. Nobody. But that's willpower right there. Can you stand up for what you believe in? Can you stand up for who you are? Can you stand up for what is right? Can you stand up for truth? Can you stand up for God? Can you stand up for your purpose? Some of us got to do it out in public. Some of us got to just do it inside of ourselves. But it starts with the spirit being empowered. For real. The gospel of hip hop willed into existence. The power of will brought that book. Do you know how hard and how much time it took the teacher to write that book? Where do you think I got all my inspiration from, right? Like all those hours writing rhymes. I saw him. He could write a rhyme quick, but he spent a lot of time writing his rhymes. But I'm watching him write an 800-page book. And he's famous and he got money. He don't really need to write the book in a way, right? He's already made his mark. Stop the Violence movement, gold, platinum records, videos, awards, honorary degrees, teaching at Yale, without even having the gospel of hip hop yet. But he'd sit there, I'd see him, I'd watch him every night, every day, locked in his hotel room, locked in his room. Every time I'd see him, he'd have another piece. Here's Zin, read that. Here's Zin, check out that, read that. I'd be like, wow, this guy never stops. And I thought, well, hip hop, you don't stop. I can never stop. And this is the guy who told me you got to get insane with it to make it happen. And so I went insane with it to make it happen. And the greatest lesson I learned from it was just the lesson of willpower itself. Mastering MCing, mastering recording music, mastering writing rhymes, mastering all of that and how to do it. And in that journey, it wasn't the rhymes or the music that was the gift from God. It was the ability to take the willpower and realize that no matter what I put my willpower towards, if it's in alignment with God, it will happen. So, early on, taking all that time to learn and master MCing, taught me that there is a process to mastering anything that we do in life. So now when there's something new, I get excited. Oh, okay, I could put my willpower towards this. I could put my willpower towards that. I could put my willpower into this and that. See what I'm saying? Because once you power the will, and once you understand what it means to power the will, and your will is empowered, you realize you can put that willpower towards whatever you need to put it towards. Being a great parent, writing your book, cleaning up your garage. What is it for you? Working on a car, building a city, building your business. What is it for you? And these times, that's why I'm walking around with no fear. Even though the book of Revelations is happening right here and now. It's always kind of happening right here, right now. And the Hopi prophecies and the Kali Yoga and all these prophecies and all this, But it's like, man, my willpower is so strong. I know I can get through anything. Because I got God behind me. I got God inside me. I got the power of Christ. I am hip hop. I am hip to my hop. I know why I move. Why wouldn't they want us to know about hip hop? Why would they want to distort hip hop the way they are? True, real hip hop. Why would they try and corrupt it? Why would they send agents of corruption, huh? Why would they? Because they know what this really is. This is a return to our human skills. This is the return to our humanity. Oh, I'm preaching tonight. I'm preaching tonight. And I know we got some definitions. I'm going to pop them up here on the screen real quick. We'll go through these real quick because we want to talk about will and power and what willpower is, but specifically the words will and power. Let's put willpower up here on the screen. Willpower. The strength of will to carry out one's decisions, wishes, or plans. Willpower. The strength of will to carry out one's decisions, wishes, or plans. Very simple. It's using your will to carry something out, your decisions, your wishes, or plans. Let's take a look at the word will here. Will, definition 1A. Now check this out, because this is where, if you want to overcome temptation, it starts in your mind. It starts right here. And this is where willpower comes. It means making up your mind. You're choosing and deciding you want to do something. So look at the very first definition of will. Will, noun, definition 1A. The mental faculty by which one deliberately chooses or decides upon a course of action or volition. Now look at that, deliberately. So this is your mental faculty deliberately deciding upon and choosing upon a course of action. Definition 1B, the act of exercising the will. So will, and when they say something like that, the act of exercising the will, and they use the word inside its own definition, that means while you are exercising will, that you are the will itself. You are the will. Okay? You understand that? The act of exercising the will. When you are using your will, you are the will. Definition 2A, diligent, purposefulness, determination. Oh, that's a strong one. Purposefulness. What is your purpose, and are you full of it? And diligent, being diligent with it, looking at it daily, looking at it hourly, going insane with it, letting it consume you, letting it possess you. And determination, are you determined to will it, to make it happen? Definition 2B, self-control, self-discipline. Self-control, self-discipline. I'm going to work on my rhymes tonight instead of watching Netflix. Self-control, self-discipline. Definition 3, a desire, purpose, or determination, especially of one in authority. Well, God's will, plan, and purpose for our life. God is the authority. What is God's will, plan, and purpose for your life? You will see it through your desires. You will know it through your purpose and your determination to get it done. Definition number 4, deliberate intention or wish. There it is again, being deliberate with your intention. I am deliberate. I am an MC. My intention is to write rhymes. I'm going to be deliberate about writing my rhymes. I am a cook. I am a chef. I'm going to be deliberate about learning to cook and mastering being a chef and mastering my craft. I'm going to deliberately master this in my life. Definition number 5, free discretion, inclination, or pleasure. Wandered about, guided only by will. That's when it just looks dark in front of you, but you can only see like it's that's the part right here. Free discretion, inclination, or pleasure, to be wandered about, guided only by will. That's endarkenment. That's endarkenment. When you have an inclination and you're guided by something, but you're not sure what it is, and you arrive right where you need to be. Definition number 6, bearing or attitude towards other disposition. You are full of goodwill. And see, that's where it changes now. Full of goodwill. Well, that's that inclination of that pleasure. I have goodwill towards men. Goodwill towards men. I have a goodwill towards men. Like my willpower is good towards men. It is my will that everyone benefits from my discovery. It is my will that others benefit from my purpose. It is my will that others benefit from my charity or from my nature or from my being. That's a noble purpose. Will 7a, a legal declaration of how a person wishes his or her possessions to be disposed of after death. That's when you write a will. You've heard of that, a legally executed document containing these declarations. Willed, willing, wills, to decide on, to choose. Once again, this is you making the decision. Once again, this is you making the choice. What is it you choose? It's like choice it like even overrides purpose. You can make a choice towards your purpose, or you can make a choice towards something else. Choice is so important. To yearn for, to desire. She makes you will your own destruction. Man, the definition sometimes is kind of dark in here. To yearn for, to desire. Well, you could yearn for or desire to fulfill your purpose. But after you give up the desire, you no longer desire once you are your purpose. Definition number 3, to decree, dictate, or order. Definition number 4, to resolve with a forceful will, determined. Once again, that's determination. Definition number 5, to induce or try to induce by sheer force of will. To induce or try to induce by sheer force of will. I will not be defeated. Yo, Michael Jordan, that's him right there. Definition number 5, to induce or try to induce by sheer force of will. Michael Jordan's willpower was so strong that he was able to will greatness out of every one of his teammates who got in alignment. His teammates who were in alignment with Michael Jordan's will won 6 championships, won their championship rings because of his sheer force of willpower. If you ever want to just see the definition of willpower, watch The Last Dance and watch Michael Jordan's willpower. Definition 6, to grant an illegal will, bequeath. To exercise the will, to make a choice, to choose. Once again, choosing. Will definition number 2 as a verb, past tense, would. Used to indicate simply futurity. They will appear later. See how that? They will appear later. I will be there. That's another one. I will be there. Once again, see how often this willpower is used and how many different ways that we use it in our day-to-day language without even thinking about it. So if you say, I will be at work tomorrow, and you hate the job, you're literally willing yourself to be at work tomorrow. Or you can say, I will not be at work tomorrow. I will be living my purpose tomorrow. Maybe your work is your purpose. Maybe your job has something to do with your purpose. Sometimes jobs are great to help support one's purpose while they're, perfecting their purpose or perfecting their craft. So let me not diss all jobs. Sometimes jobs are very important to justify one's being. Jobs are very important for many of us. And a job well done that we teach, no matter what you do in life, as our King Martin Luther King taught, and as we teach at the Temple of Hip Hop, if you're going to do something, do a good job at it. Put your best foot forward, no matter what it is. If you're pumping gas, be great at pumping gas. If you're a cashier, be great at being a cashier. Whatever it is. And you can go out nowadays and see the lack of willpower when you go somewhere and somebody doesn't want to be there, but you're handing them $40 for a meal and they don't even want to be there. And they forget your French fries, or they forget your, whatever. Or they make your veggie burger wrong, You can see the lack of willpower there. Definition number 2, used to indicate likelihood or certainty. You will regret this. Used to indicate willingness. Used to indicate requirement or command. Used to indicate intention. I will. Used to indicate customary or habitual action. Used to indicate capacity or ability. Used to indicate probability or expectation. All of that. Will. There will be this. I will be that. Let's just jump right into power here. And this is important. This is important because let me just take a moment here. This is important that we read and we go through the tediousness, and it's only going to take like 10 minutes of time to go through these definitions. But what this does is when we go through these definitions, it expands our consciousness and expands our awareness, our conscious awareness of how often we use our will in every day-to-day living. Like our entire creation that we're experiencing, we willed this all into existence, whether we like what we willed into existence or not. Whether we're satisfied with what we willed into existence or not, whether we regret what we willed into existence or not, we willed this into existence. From all of the infinite possibilities of life on earth, we are willing our existence into existence by the choices that we make. What are you choosing to make for yourself? Well, let's look at power, because this is where the power comes into the will. Power, the will. What does power mean? Because we use power all the time. We hear the word power all the time, but do we really stop and think? Yeah, we could probably know every definition of the word will and power that we just spoke because it's in our common language. Oh, and once again, these definitions are from the 3rd edition of the American Heritage Dictionary. Put a picture up there. Forgot to mention that earlier. Power, noun, power, the ability or capacity to perform or act effectively. Look at the very first definition of power. To give a divine performance, it could say, is power. Power, the ability or capacity to perform or act effectively. Willpower, the ability or capacity to perform or act effectively. Definition number 2, often seen as powers, a specific capacity, faculty, or aptitude. Her powers of concentration, his power as an MC, his power as a DJ, his power as a minister, his power as a race car driver, his power as a home run hitter, his power as a boxer. A specific capacity, faculty, or aptitude. What is your power? I'm asking you, ask yourself, what are my powers? Definition number 3, strength or force exerted or capable of being exerted. Strength is synonymous with strength. So the word power and strength in this definition, strength, will strength. It doesn't sound as good as willpower, but it takes strength. Willpower takes strength. Strength or force exerted or capable of being exerted. That's power. Not just what you're exerting, but what you're actually capable of exerting. I can always give a little more. That was Michael Jordan, always capable of just exerting a little more energy, a little more when he needed it, or even more. Definition number 4. And that's willpower right there. Strength of force exerted or capable of being exerted. I got more willpower than they can imagine. Definition number 4. The ability or official capacity to exercise control or authority. The ability or official capacity to exercise control, authority. Now, skip that being these fake leaders. But this right here gets down to one's own authority over one's own life and the ability or official capacity to exercise control. That is self-control. That's patience. That's perseverance. Definition number 5, a person, group, or nation having great influence or control over others. Well, hip-hop has some power. Let me tell you that. Hip-hop has some power, and hip-hop seems to be shying away from its power because it doesn't want to fight. Hip-hop just seems to be just kind of rolling over right now. It's just a personal observation, and not all of hip-hop, certainly not this hip-hop. But if hip-hop realized its influence and power over the world, we would notice, we would see it change overnight. Because when hip-hop not even aware of its power, changed the way the world looks at dancing, at music, at art, at philosophy, at itself, at fashion, at justice. Definition number 6, the might of a nation, political organization, or similar group. I just talked earlier about that. A political organization or a similar group. Temple of Hip Hop, we're not a political organization, but we are a group, we are an organization. And our empowerment, the power that came through us, you can see the influence of the Temple of Hip Hop on the greater hip hop community at large, who's not even aware that that is the work of the Temple of Hip Hop, is how they heard about August 11, 1973. Because of the work of the Temple of Hip Hop and just a few of us who did that. Definition number 7, forcefulness, effectiveness. Now, power, for it to be power, it has to be effective. If you're going to use the force, it has to be effective. Definition number 9a, the energy or motive force by which a physical system or machine is operated. That's the power like in an engine, like a horsepower. That's the power of an engine, the power of a machine, the capacity of a system or machine to operate, electrical or mechanical energy, power. We're getting into the electrical grid, Nikola Tesla. Especially as used to assist or replace human energy. So that's power, like, they call PG&E, the power company turned out the lights. Electricity comes from, they call it the power company, or, the power went out was when the electricity goes out. We're looking at electrical charge as power here. And now electrical current, like our body is made of electricity too. There's electrons in our body moving around. There's an electrical current. They call it chi or kundalini or prana. Electricity supplied to a home building. Okay, physics, here we go. The rate at which work is done, expressed as the amount of work per unit time and commonly measured in units such as that of watt and or horsepower. Well, watt is light. You know what a watt is. Or horsepower in a car. You got more horsepower, the car usually goes faster or can pull more. Electricity. See, electricity and power is synonymous. The product of applied potential difference in current and direct current, AC/DC current, that's Nikola Tesla. B, the product of the effective values of the voltage and current, which is the cosine phase angle between current and voltage in an alternating current circuit. So we're just getting into the power. Now mathematics, we're getting into electricity, and then we go into mathematics. The number of elements in a finite set. That's the power. The number of elements, times this to the power of 10. Times 7, what is 7 to times the power of 10? Statistics, the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis where it is false, a measure of the magnification of an optical instrument such as a microscope or telescope. That's power, to see things up close or to see things from a distance. Powers. The powers. Oh, yeah, these are the archangels in theology, the 6 of the 9 orders of angels. Those are the powers of angels. It gets into that in the book of Enoch. Really gets into that. Ethiopian book of Enoch, by the way, originally written in the language of the Ethiopian language, the Coptic language of Ethiopia. Power as an adjective of or relating to political, social, or economic control. Yeah, see, that's when we say, oh, the government has so much power over us. That's when they're talking about this, relating to political, social, or economic control. Operated with mechanical or electrical energy in a place of bodily exertion. Power car windows, so you don't have to use your hand. Generation of transmission or electricity, yeah, or relating to influential businesses or, oh yeah, here we go. This is interesting too, because this would be the power of, rap moguls, informal, of or relating to the influential businesses or professional practices, or a power suit. He's wore that power suit. And not like the power suit like a Marvel, but like, if a guy dresses with a really nice suit, they call it a power suit. To supply with power, mechanical power. Those who hold effective power in a system or a situation. Yeah, see, that gets into that worldly power. And I don't really think that they got power. I think it's a fallacy to say that, they have power, to say the government has any power. Because I don't believe that threats of violence against anybody is power. I don't believe that a bunch of guys with machine guns tell me or you or anybody else they got to do something or they're going to get shot. I don't believe that's power. I believe that's a delusion. I believe that's evil. I believe that's demonic, but it's certainly not power. Power only comes from God. There are not two powers. There is only one power, God. Evil has no power. Evil is an illusion. In God we trust. So where are we putting our faith? Well, we put our faith in, we empower. If we put our faith into the system, we empower the system. If we put our faith into God, we empower God. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot simultaneously serve and empower the system while serving and empowering God. You cannot have two masters. So many people think that they're going to be serving God while they're serving the system, empowering the system through their words and actions. You're not empowering God. If you're empowering the system, you're not empowering God. I say those who stand with the New World Order are going to fall with the New World Order. Those who stand with God will rise with God. It's that simple. But you can't, those who are trying to simultaneously stand with the New World Order and stand with God, they are a house divided and they will fall with the New World Order. You cannot stand with the New World Order and with God. You cannot simultaneously stand with God and the devil. You cannot. The physics of it, just the basic physics of it. It's a simple equation. You cannot serve two masters. And so many people, so many in the spiritual community are trying to serve the system and trying to serve the government while they're serving God. Or they think they're serving God. Make your choice. Make your choice. Serve God or the world. Fall with the world or stand with God. It's an easy choice. To me, it's an easy choice, but it takes willpower to stand with God. It takes willpower for us to stand with God, because that's when we get into purpose. That's when we get into truth. That's when we get into our livelihood of livelihood, not livelihood like making money, but our livelihood of being alive. And do you feel alive? 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 I know I do. I feel alive at every moment. When I'm sleeping, I feel alive. It's funny, I woke up this morning, Happy Days was in my head. And I was like, why is that corny song? Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. These days are happy days, oh yours. When I was growing up, there was a show called Happy Days. Oh man, dating myself there. But Happy Days was on the television when I was growing up. And it was so funny. I woke up this morning, I'm like, why do I got that cheesy song in my head? But I'm smiling while it's in my head. And I realized, wow, it's because I got joy in my heart, because I wake up happy. And I don't always wake up happy. Sometimes I wake up pissed. Sometimes I wake up depressed, you know. But it's like, even if I'm pissed or depressed, there's a joy behind all of it. I'm just thankful to be here. I'm grateful for life itself. So it is a happy day some days. You know, and I know it's a happy day because I'm living my purpose. I started working on a new music video last night. It just started coming through me. You'll see it soon. I got a song called All of It I Am. And it's just, I start the verse, it's just one giant verse. It's like a 5-minute verse that has all these changes in it. There's no choruses, there's no hooks, there's no set rhyme pattern. It's just 5 minutes of verse, but it goes and it just keeps changing and evolving. And I just had this idea of a lion walking with all this stuff happening behind him. And so that video started, I was like, oh, let's make this video. I started putting onto it. And here's the thing that's beautiful about purpose. And here's the beautiful thing about willpower. Like when you're really into what you're creating, when you're really deep into creation, you lose track of time. 3-4 hours just like that, like they're gone. Like I remember it was like 1 a.m. and I was just starting to work on it. And I'm just barely getting into it. It feels like I look at the clock and it's 5:30 a.m. I'm like, yo, I got to go to get some sleep. I got to get up. I got some things I got to do. Like I got family to help out. I got places I got to be the next day. It's 5:30 a.m. What? But willpower made it happen quicker. That time just went by quick. And the next thing I realized, but then I went to bed and I slept good and deep because I was fulfilled in my soul, because I had created something. I expressed myself. And I didn't even make the whole video. I got more hours to go on it. It's a tedious process, the little edits, the little tiny edits, but you'll see it when it comes out. All of it I am. All of it I am. All of it is all of it I am. I become part of it, it becomes part of me. I am the sun and the stars, I am the land and the sea. I am the oceans of space, I am a droplet of water. I'm the one who comes to phase the lambs away from the slaughter. My precious flame. I won't rap the whole thing, but you'll see when it comes out. Willpower though. My nobility, use your willpower. Put that willpower to work for you. You're already using your willpower daily, so put it to work towards what you want to will into existence. There's no reason that any of you MCs who I know, it should take 10 years to make one album when you all were rapping before me. Like, I ain't bragging. I ain't even saying that. Y'all know me. I love you all. I care about you all. I will help you all. But there is no reason that Zin Uru should have 9 albums out, 10 albums out. I'm working on number 11, 10 and 11 right now, when y'all ain't even got 1 and 2 out. Like I'm just calling them out as I see it, There's no reason for it. There's no reason to be weak-willed. Or just call me up and say, Zin, I got a weak will. And I'll be like, yo, that's dope. I love you. Just be truthful with yourself. But I know it ain't the truth. I know you all got strong willpowers because I see it all the time. Put that willpower to good use. And talking about willpower to good use, the gospel of hip hop, this is willpower put towards good use. And you'll see from the inspirational words from the teacher. The fourth overstanding, pop it up here. The H law, this is just the introduction. The H law, of course, stands for health, love, awareness, and wealth. This is just the introduction to the H law. And I'm going to be reading from page 203, paragraphs 11 through 24. And you'll just see what inspired this particular talk tonight through the gospel of hip hop here. And just keep in mind the spellings and the natures of hip hop, the three natures of hip hop while you're watching this, while you're reading along. I'll put it up here on the screen, or if you're reading along in your gospel, just notice the different spellings of hip hop and as they're used here. The hip hop spiritual life. Oh yeah, once again, this is starting on paragraph 11. The hip hop spiritual life is not so much about adding to oneself or seeking a new knowledge of some sort. Spiritually living hip hop seems to be about preparing for the inevitable coming of your higher self into physical manifestation. Instead of adding to oneself, hip hop's spiritual path is all about subtracting useless ideas and outdated education from the memory of one's soul. And that is a deep line right here. I'm going to read that one again. Hip hop's spiritual path is all about subtracting useless ideas and outdated education from the memory of one's soul. And that's so important right there. Because when it leaves the memory of your soul, I don't even remember who I was before Zin Uru. I have memories of that, because I've always been, the core of my soul's been the same. But I don't have memories of having lack of willpower when it comes to writing rhymes. I can remember not being able to write a rhyme, but my soul doesn't remember that, because my soul only knows. It uncovered, by getting rid of outdated ideas, it uncovered the ability it always had to write these rhymes. Now feel me, see what it's saying there. You have a natural ability that you need to uncover, if you haven't already, and get rid of all those outdated ideas and belief systems and stories and those things that no longer serve you, that outdated education, getting rid of that and getting to the core. Because when you get to the core, it just starts happening easier. As an MC, I would just sit down and write a whole song in 20 minutes sometimes. But it wasn't always like that. But I've forgotten all those blocks and all those things that kept me from doing that, to where it just happens now. Same with you. Forget all those things that are holding you back. That's what you let go of. What is holding you back from living your purpose, that's what you let go of, and let go of it from your soul's memory. Your soul won't even remember what it was anymore. And the truth will be there, expressing itself. Paragraph 12. Most people make the mistake of thinking that the spiritual life is to be attained after a rigorous practice of self-restraint and prayer. This is not altogether true. Yes, self-restraint and prayer are critical to one's spiritual development, but we've learned now that once you have committed even one time to the actualization of your higher self, it is inevitable that such a self will materialize at some point in your life. The issue is not whether you will attain a higher, deeper level of spiritual awareness. The issue is, will you be prepared when your higher, deeper level of spiritual awareness arrives? Are you really prepared for the days to come? Will you still be doing the same immature things you've been doing when your higher self arrives? Such contradictions are indeed dangerous and even embarrassing. Your higher self, it's on its way. You've made the commitment towards your higher self, towards your purpose. It's on its way. So be prepared for its eventual arrival. If you're not prepared, you're either going to miss it or fuck it up. And it's better to fuck it up than to miss it, because at least if you mess it up, you'll have a lesson to learn. You'll have some wisdom to glean from it. But if you miss an opportunity, then you've got to re-examine all of it and wait for another opportunity to come. And waiting, that waiting for the next opportunity when you missed an opportunity because you were undisciplined and you weren't ready for that opportunity, better let that be a motivator, because that's what knocks a lot of people off their path. They missed the opportunity they were waiting for. They weren't prepared for their opportunity, so they just give up. If you miss your opportunity and you weren't ready for it, don't give up. The language you spoke as a child, you can no longer speak as an adult. And the language you spoke as an adult, you can no longer speak as a teacher. Right now, you are pregnant with your higher self. However, the question is, will you be prepared when such a self is born? Much of the H-Loss practice has to do with first strengthening one's will to even achieve such a condition. We are talking here about health, love, awareness, and wealth. And to achieve any one of these conditions, the will of the Hipapa will have to be strong. For without willpower, nothing that the mind wants to do will ever get done. And this is deeper. I've been talking all about willing things into existence tonight. But willing into existence our health, love, awareness, and wealth, it takes willpower to discipline the body so when you arrive at 50 years old, you're healthy, loving, aware, and wealthy, and vibrant, and energized, and still got testosterone if you're a male. You know, to still have muscles and still be in shape and still be fit. That takes willpower. To having loving, trustful relationships, at least you're on your behalf, that you're being loving, trustworthy, and you're fulfilling your half, that takes willpower. It takes willpower to live a spiritual lifestyle. Know this, it is the will of the Hipapa that directs the Hipapa's electromagnetic energy. What? Check that out. Know this, it is the will of the Hipapa that directs that Hipapa's electromagnetic energy. It is the will of the Hipapa that causes that Hipapa's hip-hop life to begin. Hip-hop is willed into existence. Hip-hop is deliberately produced. It is willed into existence by God. And this is what every attuned Hipapa must know. God wills things into existence. God's work is God's will. Here we observe that spiritual strength is found in one's mastery of one's will. Look at this. Spiritual strength is found in the mastery of one's will. It is the will that resists temptation. It is the will that seeks God. It is the will that pushes you and urges you onward toward your completion. It is the will that achieves goals and manifests visions. All of these are possible with a strong will, and strength of will is produced by uniting your will with the will of God. And look at that. Strength of will is produced by uniting your will with the will of God. Will is spiritual energy, and it requires spiritual management. Willpower begins with an attitude. I will is forward movement, but I won't is also forward movement. The first, I will, affirms the strength to proceed into new experiences. The second, I won't, affirms the strength to remain in the same condition. Neither is good or bad, but one, I will, moves you forward to achieve, while the other, I won't, moves you forward as you are. I won't is just as powerful of a statement as I will, because I won't is really I will not. And whether you affirm I will or I will not, you are still willing. You either will move or you will not move. But both require willpower to achieve. To do nothing requires willpower, and to do something requires willpower. I was saying this last week. I will or I will not. When you say, I will achieve this, the universe will present for you that circumstances of I will. If you say, I will not do that, the universe will reflect back to you, he will not do that. I will do that. the universe will reflect back, I will do that. He will do that. But if you go, I don't know, the universe is going to reflect back to you, I don't know. If you say to the universe, I'm unsure about myself, maybe the universe is going to give you, well, he's unsure about himself, maybe. The universe is going to reflect your willpower right back to you, or your wishy-washiness right back to you. Make a firm statement. That's what being adult is about. That's what being mature is about. That's what knowing thyself is about. Being able to make a statement and affirm it. I will be making a message from the Minista this week. I will be making a message from the Minista next week, God willing. Because remember, the spiritual power comes when our will is in alignment with God's will. I may will something into existence, but God doesn't want it to be willed into existence. Therefore, I don't want it either. God will say, no, you wanted that, but you're not going to get it. And then I don't get it, and then I realize, wow, I never needed that. Thank you, God, you protected me. I really wanted that. I tried to will it into my life, but I didn't need it. And now I'm glad that God protected me. So sometimes, realize that sometimes if it's not happening, God is protecting you. Sometimes if it's not happening, it's because you require more work. You got to put more effort into it. And sometimes it's because God's protecting you. And really, only you can know which one of it is. You've got to go through it and realize which one it is, when God is actually saying no, or when God is saying more work, put more time and more effort into it. But that comes with practice. That comes with putting your willpower into and affirming your willpower. Know this, a spiritual man without a strong will is like a beautiful car without a steering wheel. Willpower is your inner energy, your inner energy, emanating from your inner G, your inner guidance, your inner God, the love. Everyone is moving forward. However, the question is, are you moving in the right direction? Some people are moving forward, but away from their purpose. This is key. Others are moving forward towards disaster and hard times. However, the direction of your hip-hop life is determined by the power and intensity of your will. The ability to fast, to resist temptation, to study, to exercise, even to practice breaking, emceeing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, street entrepreneurialism, the 9 elements, all has to do with willpower and your level of willpower. The H law strengthens the will of the hipapa because it takes a higher level of willpower to create the habitual life prescribed here. Know this, hip-hop spiritual lifestyle must be willed into existence because technically we are the first of our holy nation. And those hip-hopas that are to come after us, future hip-hopas, will have to follow the same techniques in your time, because even you shall be the first in your environment to seriously commit to such a practice. Commit to the H law and then teach it to others. Many people do not even have a point of reference as to where they should begin the correction and further development of themselves. Help them. Help them with these instructions. You may actually save someone from a life of hardship, frustration, and pain. Blessed are those who achieve and sustain their higher selves through the practice of the H law. Gospel of Hip Hop, the fourth overstanding, the H law, health, love, awareness, and wealth. My nobility, what more needs to be said? You know what it is. Will your health into existence. Will your love into existence. Will your awareness into existence. And will your, wealth into existence. Will your wealth into existence. And what is your wealth? Health is your wealth. Your relationships are your wealth. If you have a car that gets you from point A to point B, that's wealthy. If you got a pair of legs that can walk you from point A to point B, that's wealthy. If you got no legs and you're in a wheelchair and you got a wheelchair, that's wealthy. What is your wealth? Your wealth is what's there to help you achieve your purpose in life. And to align our will with God's will, that's spiritual power. That's real willpower right there. I was saying earlier when this started, it can be fear, the power the will. Power the will is the name of this message from the minister for a reason. What is the power behind what you are willing to into existence? Is it fear? Is it frustration? Is it duty? What is it? Is it faith? Is it love? Is it God? Is it truth? Is it freedom? What is it that motivates your will into existence? A lot of people, it's conformity. A lot of people's willpower is put towards conformity. They want to conform. Let them be. Others don't want to conform, but they don't know how. Give them a wise word, like we were just saying, like the gospel was just teaching. You can help save somebody by being a living example, by giving a good word, by giving a good teaching, by giving a good ministry. You can help save somebody's life from pain and suffering by being an inspiration. My nobility, I say it every week, we got no time to waste. Start getting rid of those things in your life that are keeping you from your purpose. I challenge you this week to get rid of something in your life that is holding you back. Whether it's a belief system, whether it's a bad habit, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whatever it is that may be holding you back from your purpose right now, I challenge you to just get rid of it this week and watch what is freed up. That's the challenge this week. Get rid of something useless out of your life that is holding you back. Something that's taking your time and energy, that's holding you back from fulfilling your purpose. There's something inside you, something pressing inside, revealing its truth. Spirit. Big up to Minister G. Simone, the acrinologist G. Simone. Spirit, something pressing inside, revealing its truth. That pressing from inside of you, that's pressing forward, that Christ from within, that is hip to its hop, that knows why it moves. My nobility, rise up. And this is for those future hip-hoppers out there. As we just discussed, you are the first of your kind. You may never even have met me in person. You may never have met the teacher in person. We may be long gone. This video may be all that you have left of Zin Uru is these videos. Maybe this is the only one that survives. Maybe they all survive. I don't know. But 100 years in the future, somebody could be watching this old video and be inspired towards their hip-hop lifestyle and found a copy of the gospel of hip-hop. And you might be the one. Hip-hop's going to be alive and well. But I always say it, could you be the one who carries this whole culture forward from your knowledge, from your conviction, from your willpower, from your peace, from your health, love, awareness, and wealth? What if the government declared hip-hop as illegal? It's illegal to be a hip-hopper. Well, what if that happened, hypothetically? What if that happened? How many of you would still be hip-hop if hip-hop was declared illegal? Because it could be coming, you never know. It was illegal to be Christians at one time. Looks like it might be headed that in some countries already. Looks like it may be headed that way in the United States even. With cancel culture and everything. What if they decide hip-hop culture is going to be canceled, right? 20 years from now, 100 years from now, the government's like, no more hip-hop. You guys no, hip-hop is illegal. Gospel, hip-hop's illegal, all of it's illegal. 100 years from now, we're long gone. Now I don't want to paint that dark picture. We'll have hip-hopia. Hip-hopia will be its city. We'll be empowered. We ain't going back into no slavery. But it's good to think of what if, because that puts the conviction. What if you are Neo? What if you are the one? What if that is you? What if God is counting on you to fulfill God's will, plan, and purpose through you? Because that's what's happening. God's counting on you. Your ancestors are counting on you. Hip-hop's counting on you. Earth is counting on you. The heavens are counting on you. All of creation is counting on you to fulfill your purpose. Rise up, my nobility. You are loved. You are cared for. But you got to get to work. You've got to put that willpower into work. And there it is. Hip!